Hey
Hey guys,
guys.
it's Julia and Jill. We are back. Today we're going to talk about relationships, um, things attachment, what to look out for in relationships and friendships. So red flags, green flags, and we're going to share our own personal experiences, how we got through them, um, kind of break down attachment style, and then end with what to look out for, what um and then some of the red flags that we kind of came up with. But anyways, how are you doing today, Jill?
I'm good. Thank you. How are you doing?
Also doing well. It's sunny here in San.
It's so nice out. Yeah. It's been like summer. I've been out and about a lot, as you can see with my tan.
Yeah, no, you're glowing. I love it.
Crazy.
But okay, do you just want to get right into it?
Yeah, let's do it.
So what kind of brought this topic up to was Jill kind of brushed on it last week of talking about dopamine hits and um, certain people that can exhibit or draw dopamine hits out of us, and people can almost become like an addiction. And that just relationships have been something that have always been super important to me. Like my number one priority are my friendships, my relationships, um, not just romantic partners, but also with family. Like it's just what makes me it I revolve my world pretty much around the people in my life because they make my life. And I just thought it would be so good to share what I've learned from them and how I got to where I am today, I guess. So, um when I was in high school, I dated, and everyone has their high school relationships. I feel like everyone has that one toxic relationship that they go through and they need to go through it in order to grow. Like everyone has to go through it.
Yeah.
But yeah, my high school friendships and romantic partner were not um beneficial for me at all. I was super on and off with my first relationship. It was one of those things where I was not getting my needs met, and what I would get super happy when this person finally did reach out to me. I had a insecure, anxious attachment for sure. I don't know if this person was avoidant, but they just were not for me. I don't think they wanted to be in the relationship. Lo and behold, they were, and that's why it was so on and off. But um, yeah, and also my friendships just were not fruitful. I chose people not based on our interests, not based on how they treated me. Just it was filling a need. It was filling this avoidance of being alone. Like I could not be alone. And it was really hard to get through. If you can't be alone, you can't think of anything, or you can't have an organic thought, no time to recharge. I wasn't giving that to myself at all. And I was in a place where I was looking to everyone else for answers. And it was really hard. And so then in college, you're forced to be on your own. I was living, my dorm mate left. So my freshman year of college, I was by myself, and it required me to look inward. And my school also didn't have any sororities or Greek life. And that's all I wanted to be a part of. I wanted to look cool. I wanted to party. I wanted to um, I was just very focused externally on how I looked to other people rather than how I looked to myself. I was not true to myself at all. And even though this experience was so hard, I'm so grateful for it. And I feel like God or the universe or whoever you want to call it, put me in that situation, in that position for a purpose. And I would not be who I am today if I hadn't gone through that time. I remember I was so lonely. I called my parents a lot. Um, and it was a really hard time, but eventually, I stuck it out and I met such a great friend group. I met Jill through this time. We worked together at a little bar studio, and I just remember you were so kind, and that threw me off. It scared me because I wasn't used to that. I thought I thought Jill's intentions were not genuine because she is gorgeous and beautiful and kind, and that was something that intimidated me. And um, but you're persistent, and I let you in, and I'm so grateful that you were persistent, and I'm so grateful that I let you in because we would not be here today. And it wasn't just Jill; it was kind of everyone that entered my life. I was very guarded, um, but yeah, I really had to sit with myself, be alone with my thoughts, and reflect. And that is sometimes such a scary thing. Sometimes the hardest thing to do is sit in stillness.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, but yeah, that's a little bit about me.
That's so beautiful.
Thank
And
you.
honestly, you were that friend for me at that time too. And it was just so beautiful to, I don't know, see you open up too, because like in the beginning, we were just like coworkers, but then as we spent more time together, I just was like, she is so cool and like I love this girl, you know what I mean? And then we started like getting dinner and everything and we just
Um,
connected over all these things that we are
had
passionate
in common.
about.
Yeah.
And then it was just like, wow, I just like I'm so grateful we met and that we,
Well,
crossed that barrier of like just being coworkers to actually becoming friends. And then yeah, I mean from there it's just been the most beautiful like friendship and journey and we've done so many trips together and
you're up.
Europe, Hawaii and
Yeah.
skiing and all the fun stuff that we get to do. It's yeah, it's such a blessing truly. And so yeah, I'm just as grateful for our beautiful friendship. And that was the time where I really needed that like deep connection too. So yeah.
Yeah, we felt it for each other. And yeah, with that too, my I think I was drawn to distant people at the time because I was going through a lot. Old stuff had come up, right, from my past, from my childhood that I never worked through. And
Mhm.
unfortunately, it came out in those relationships. But I think it was trial and error. Like, God put them in my life at that time, and they weren't meant to be in my life long term. And so it's like I got to experiment with those relationships and nothing against those people now. I hope they're doing well. But yeah, it allowed me to learn a lot about myself and what I want in the future.
Totally.
And so yeah. But
Totally. Yeah, I definitely think we all have these trials we have to go through and grow through. And for me, the most recent like big growth period, I think, was with like a toxic type of situationship that I was going through too. And
mhm.
it was very interesting for me to experience because I felt like so far away from myself and what feels true to me and what feels like it matters to me when I was in that. And I was just so like blinded, I think, by also like first the love bombing that happened. And so this guy was just able to like pull me in a way that made me like blind to all the red flags. And
Right.
it's scary now, like looking at it from from hindsight, because I genuinely like there were so many red flags. Like I would not do
The love
this
bombing.
over again in like a conscious state, but I was just genuinely like exactly just so blinded by the situation and the chemistry that we had and the way that he treated me and everything. And it was all like really fun. And, we did have just a great like initial chemistry. And sometimes that can turn out to be something great too. But
Yeah.
in this case, it was just a superficial, like, attraction, I think that was there. But then when it came down to the real stuff and like, deeper values and integrity and trust and mm, being good communicators and stuff like that was lacking. And I was already too deep in it though for me to see those red flags and
Yeah.
like really be able to like put a stop to it because they were actual like, pretty red flags, honestly. A lot of the stuff that happened, I should have just pulled away and I guess like moved on, but I was just too deep in it. And so that was a huge experience for me because sometimes our feelings and when it comes to especially certain dynamics, they can actually be addictive, what you said in the beginning. Like it actually kind of hijacks your dopamine system in the way that makes you then addicted to those highs of the love bombing and of all the attention that this person is giving you. But then what's actually present most of the time is the low. And that's like, when someone's really hot and cold, or they don't necessarily follow through with what they say, or they're being deceptive about things, and then you don't like in your heart you don't trust them, but then you get a little hit of like a high, and then that kind of justifies you staying in it because then you feel so good with them, but then the rest of the time you're always worried because there's no firm foundation of the relationship.
Right.
And so, yeah, it was a huge learning experience for me because I just opened my heart so much to this person and I really felt like there was like a love growing from my end. And
Yeah.
then it turns out like that wasn't there, nor was there like an intention to be in a deeper relationship from the other end. And so then it's just like having that experience, I guess, is just like it was confusing all the time because the signs that were given were like, the love bombing, the attention, and just feeling very wanted, but not truly feeling cared for. So there's a difference there. And I always felt really wanted, but I didn't feel cared for in that relationship. And yeah, I
I
guess
think, sorry, no, go on.
I guess that was my huge learning experience with that because um, it's easy to feel wanted by people you're dating and like out and about with. But then now what I feel like I'm really looking for in a relationship is that deeper care. And obviously, the chemistry is important too. But then if the deeper care and the warmth from that person isn't there, and if you don't feel like you can trust them, um, I don't think it's worth engaging. And it's
Yeah.
probably it's probably not going to be a good long-term outcome. So yeah, it's
I was
interesting.
also gonna say, like, I feel that sometimes in those relationships, and like that, you perfectly described what I was trying to say about mine too, like, same thing. And I think that a lot of the times they're in those, when people are in those relationships, they're in it for what you can do for them. They're not in it for you. Like,
Yes.
they're trying
Right.
to fill an external need or something.
Right.
It's like their ego,
Yeah.
essentially. But then we end
Yeah.
up getting hurt because of it. And so, um,
Yeah.
and that's part of it. And I also think like attachment plays into it too. Like, um, we we fall into a category. There's secure, anxious, avoidant, and then anxious, insecure. And what I feel like we kind of fell into the anxious, insecure category of like, okay, are we okay? Like when I was in high school, I never woke up feeling good about the relationship. It was kind of like, okay, how are we today? How are things today? It's like you're
Mhm.
walking on ice,
Right. Right.
and you're just constantly looking for that reassurance, and that
Mhm.
person, they may not show up today, they might show up today,
Right.
and it's like it's just
Mhm. Yeah,
uh
when they're unpredictable and that hot and cold dynamic is present, it's really, really hard. And especially when someone's more like avoidant with their feelings and communication of their emotions,
yeah.
like when there's a lack thereof, it's really challenging because then like you literally feel like you're walking on ice. Like you don't know
Right.
what you're getting that day. And they may be super loving and super like, about you and like want to engage with you, or it might be the opposite and you just don't know what to expect. But that's really unhealthy for us and our nervous systems because,
So healthy.
yeah, it puts you on edge all the time, basically. And it makes you feel like you're not enough. And I think that's what truly is what like the core wound in that is, and why it is so painful to have to go through that. And even though like they show up at times and they really like, make you feel wanted and pull you in, it just doesn't feel like on a deeper level there's a care and a love. And I feel like that's what we truly need to thrive. It's like that's what
There's no
nurtures our soul.
security.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's a
Yeah.
lack of security.
Yeah. And with those, like on the other side of anxious and secure, it's anxious avoidant. And those two fit like puzzle pieces. So if you know you're anxious and secure, chances are you're going to attract someone who's anxious avoidant, vice versa. If you're anxious avoidant, chances are you're going to attract someone who is anxious and secure. And not to say that there's anything wrong with you, but we as humans get caught in systems and patterns. And so we are going to want to find someone who enables us to keep those same patterns until we take the time to step back and sit with ourselves and reflect and change. And until you do that, it's going to be more challenging because you might view the secure person as boring. You might view the secure person as not a chase. I don't know. They like you might not have butterflies right away, and that might scare you. Um, not to say that you won't get butterflies. I got butterflies in my relationship now, and it's good. But with that too, like you can have different attachment styles to different people. So maybe you're anxiously avoidant to your romantic partners, but then secure to friends.
Right.
It's all relative and it all depends. And you might have tendencies sometimes for either, but you might be secure and have tendencies of anxious avoidant or anxious and secure sometimes. I don't want to categorize and just make it black and white, right? But
Totally. And depending on your partner's dynamic, it might like exacerbate one like tendency that you have inside of you.
yeah,
And depending, like, say you're with someone who is secure and you're slightly on the anxious side, then maybe they will make you feel more secure and you're more secure in the relationship as a result of it,
right.
versus someone who is avoidant and then the other person is anxious, then that exacerbates the anxiety in that person, because the more avoidant someone else is, the more then you feel anxious. Because I feel like I'm typically not on the anxious side
Yeah.
of things in relationships, but with that one, and because it was so unpredictable and it was so anxiety producing, like this person's behavior, it really put me into this like state of anxiety. It was like very significant. And it was definitely like part of why I felt so far away from myself too, because it was creating these loops of just like self-doubt and anxiety and things that I just, it's like, this is not how I
Operate.
operate usually, and then that was kind of another red flag
That
that,
created a foreign narrative for you.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it did. And also a lot of other things I felt like I thought were true about the person, and then they turn out to be very different. And so I think they were just very good at painting that picture of like who he is and how amazing he is. But then when it came down to really like looking at the what's happening and how they are showing up, was a little bit different than what I thought was going to happen. And so it was a big disappointment. But with that, also, I just learned so much about me and how to listen to myself and reconnect to my intuition and gut feeling with things. And when something feels
Right.
like you have too many butterflies, like you said, and then it turns into anxiety and stuff, we have to listen to these signals. Like, and during the relationship too, I didn't listen, and that was my fault. That was totally my bad because I could have exited way earlier. But I was
It's
so
easier
in that roller
said.
coaster, and I thought the butterflies were actually like whatever chemistry, but turns out they were most of the time they were like an anxiety type
Um,
of thing. Yeah. I mean,
and
it kind of it's a thin line, right? Or a fine line between those two things. And especially when you have feelings for someone, you don't really know where to place it always, but definitely how our nervous system reacts to the other person is critical and like
yeah,
figuring out if that's a good relationship for us.
totally. And I think we are bonding creatures, and
Yeah.
so we're going to create attachments to
Yeah.
pretty much every significant person in our life. And
Yeah.
that's so important to have someone who feels secure. And I erred on the side of anxious, insecure, and um through my relationship I've become, and obviously work on myself. I was single for like 5 years before my whatever. I was single for a long time and then um was in a few relationships, and my partner now is secure. And so you don't have to go to therapy all the time. I mean, I would recommend it, but you don't have to heal. Like if you are in a healthy relationship, that's also healing towards whatever attachment style you may or may not have. But with that, some things to look out for in relationships, not just romantic ones, but friendships. Do you want to go over, let's go over red flags first so we can end on a good note of green flags?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So I wrote I wrote some down here, and one of the red flags that I thought of was if, well, first of all, the question that I want to ask for the audience is, are you naturally drawn to distant people? Let's say that a lot of people in your life come and go, maybe it's hard to trust them. And so that's the one question I want to ask for you guys. Notice if you're drawn to distant people, and if you're not, good for you. You're doing something right. Let's carry on. But um okay, the first red flag is if you find someone gossiping all the time. Like their main dialogue is gossiping about their friends, about random people, because then it's like, when is it going to be your turn that they're going to gossip about you? I think that's
Yes, that's a significant one. I am so with you on that.
the second one is if someone has a negative cloud over their head. So, like, I mean, it's okay for people to feel upset at times, and like, I'm obviously always there for my friends if they're going through a hard time, but if that's the only conversation as like complaining and being super upset about every little thing, sometimes it can be a downer and um just not joyful to be around.
Exactly. Yeah, it can pull you down, it can drain your energy.
Yeah.
And yeah, friends should uplift your energy more so than they drain. And like you said, like there's always a balance and there's
Mm.
always hard times for like we all go through ups and downs, but like I guess it's also an outlook and a perspective question and how someone, if they can open up to you during those hard times, but then also um, have that perspective of like a growth mindset and are able to see their growth too. And then that's a positive through that,
Through that.
harder time or challenge that they had to go through. So it's a lot of it also is about perspective, I guess.
Right.
Yeah,
I think it's like if you're with someone who complains about like every little thing all the time or finds any
exactly. Yeah,
minor inconvenience where it's like you have to think about it. And like normally I would just let that go, but okay, here we are. But
yeah. And then, you become the people that you surround yourself with. So if you ask
yeah,
yourself, like, do I want to think that way? And,
yeah,
you don't want to complain all the time. which is for the better, I would assume for most people, then yeah, you also don't want to surround yourself with people who think that way all the
Mhm.
time, you know? So yeah, because our energy like
It's
wears
con-
off on others and exactly is contagious, and we pick up on other people's energies too. So it really affects our whole, um,
our nervous system.
yeah, nervous system, brain, everything.
Yeah. Um,
That's a good one. I like that.
Thank you. The next one that I thought of is trauma dumping. So obviously, again, like you're gonna come to your people if something happens, but let's say you just have met someone and they are sharing every little thing about themselves with you. And with that, it's like maybe something just happened. I don't wanna come off as judgmental, but if they're not showing interest in you. So like if they're
Hmm.
kind of just using the whole time to voice themselves, it can be exhausting. It can be emotionally exhausting.
Yeah, totally.
So, and then the
Totally.
last one I thought of was if you guys bond, if if you only bond over a shared dislike. So, like, let's say
Hmm.
you don't like someone, which happens, but that's the only thing you bond over, and then after that, it's like you have no uh, interests and or like no shared mutual interest. Because a lot of the times, like sometimes you do need to vent, but if that's the only thing you're talking about, it can spiral and create
Hmm.
like a negative feedback like loop, I feel like. But
Yeah, totally.
it's just reinforcing negativity,
Yeah.
like enabling it almost. But
Yeah.
um
Yeah, and that becomes like almost like a narrative inside of the brain too. And then they like exactly like each time you engage with it, it reinforces itself.
right.
And it can bring other people down on that spiral too. So
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay, do you have any other red flags you can think of?
I think like what comes to mind is a hot and cold type of character, like when you don't know what to expect with them and if they're going to be nice to you or if they're going to be, you know, super mad at you or whatever. Like
Oh.
if you can't expect, if you don't know what temper to expect from them, I mean, don't get me wrong, like we all have our ups and downs, but if we can self-regulate and if we know ourselves and we can emotionally regulate and express our needs in a way that is non-toxic, that I think is very much like it's a good predisposition for like a healthy relationship versus someone who just doesn't know how to self-regulate and
Yeah.
then they just like come at you with a certain energy that you just like, you know, don't know where it's coming from and then also could totally like mess you up and mess your
Yeah.
relationship up. So I think a red flag would be for like having a close connection with people who don't know how to self-regulate, and then maybe they will take their stuff out at you, and
Right.
that can be very damaging for your psyche too. So, I think what a good thing to look out for is just people who, yeah, know how to express their
Self-regulate.
own emotions in a way that is healthy and in a way that, you know, promotes connection and depth of connection,
Yeah.
instead of like the toxic ways of, you know, putting others down and or whatever they're doing, like emotional verbal abuse or, you know, things
You
like
are
that
not
obviously are really important to look out for.
right. You are not in charge of anyone's emotions, and a healthy
No.
way to
Hmm.
communicate is like be friends with someone who can tell you what they need and how they feel.
Yes, exactly. It's so simple.
Yeah.
It's so simple. And then I feel like it's nice to be surrounded by people who are working on themselves too and like are always growing. And so if you feel like someone is just always stuck in a narrative that is negative, like it's basically the same thing that you already said, but then also maybe not taking care of themselves in other ways, like mentally, physically, and all these things like that can definitely just then affect our own energy. And I think it affects their whole system in a negative way, but then they like, make you feel lower or like less aligned with the things that
Yeah.
actually uplift you. So, someone who I think doesn't want to keep growing and doesn't have like that growth mindset, that to me is challenging if that's someone in my life, because I am always constantly um, trying to improve in some way, and I appreciate people around me who also are working on themselves, because then you can share that, and
Each
it
other.
doesn't have to be huge steps, and it doesn't matter where you start. And I can be friends with so many different kinds of people, but as long as I feel like they are looking to grow and, make a positive difference of some sort, um, then I feel like that just makes me more energized too. And then I feel like you can help each other be better, instead of going in the opposite direction of just like complaining all the time. It's kind of similar to what you already said.
Well, I think when you're, so I actually was gonna say this about you, but I was gonna save it for green flags. Um, there's a saying that goes, anyone that's doing more than you is not going to criticize you. And so, like, if someone is intimidated by your success and puts you down, that's a red flag. And I think a green
Yeah.
flag is like someone who sees your success and maybe they want to grow, but and they haven't yet, and they are inspired by you. And
Mhm.
Jill, like, okay, every time I'm with you, I feel refreshed, I feel motivated, like you, I feel so inspired when I'm with you. And that is why I love your energy because I seriously, I'm like, woo, let's go. Like, it just feels like sunshine. I feel like I sat in the sun for 8 hours and just had a great day.
Oh
But
my God, I have that same feeling for you. I'm not
oh
kidding.
my God.
Yeah, seriously.
Well, I love that we
Just
can do that for
the
each other.
bright light. It's the bright light and the
Your
energy
aura.
and the motivation. And when you have that around you, it just makes the biggest difference. It energizes you. And I
Yeah.
feel that exact same way about you. Seriously.
Maybe we have the same color aura. Maybe we're both. I've heard that I'm yellow.
I feel
I
like I'm yellow too.
feel like you're yellow. It's
And
just
we're both fire
that.
signs too.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why.
But yeah, no, I feel like you're yellow. I feel like you're yellow too. Maybe that's why. We just click. But
Yeah, totally.
green flags. So the first one that I have, it's kind of I did like opposite. So um I put so yeah, instead of like gossip and negative cloud, I put shared interests. So like someone that you guys bond over shared interests, something that
Mhm.
excites both of you guys, whether
Yeah.
that's fitness, health, environment, politics, whatever, anything that makes someone else like shared interests. I don't
Yeah, hobbies,
know.
whatever it is that you connect
Right,
over, shared like music, style, or
right.
yeah, just having shared interests. And the more they mean to you and the other person, the better, because I feel like that just makes a deeper connection right away.
Right, right.
Like if you have like core values or core interests that you resonate with the other person, it's like that just brings so much energy to the connection right away.
Totally. I agree.
That's
Uh,
our connection.
I know. I'm like my head. I'm just like, ah. No, but like we're talking about us actually in this.
Yeah, exactly.
But okay, and then so when you said like core values and people having the deeper connection, I thought of active listening. So like someone who has a genuine curiosity about the other,
Hmm.
someone who so the opposite of trauma dump, I put genuine curiosity for the other person, people who are asking about them. And active listening, like if you said something a week ago, bringing it up that week, like, okay, you said you were worried about this. How are you doing with that? Or whatever.
Yeah.
But
Totally. Yeah, that's huge. Listening attentively and then really like caring to know. Like I love
right,
the what did you say? Something curiosity?
genuine curiosity.
Genuine curiosity. Yeah, absolutely. Genuine curiosity is huge. I love the way you put that.
Thank you. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just blanked. There was something else that maybe it'll come back to me. Can you think of any other green flags to look for in friends?
Um, I mean, we basically
Said a
have
lot.
the main ones. I think we touched on the main ones. I also am blanking right now. I have to admit.
Yeah.
Um,
But
yeah, shared interests and shared activities too. I feel like when there's things that you like to do together that you both genuinely enjoy doing, that helps too. Um, because sometimes it's hard when like, I don't know, you're not super into drinking and someone all they want to do is go out for a drink, you know, and you might connect with the person in other ways, but it's like hard to actually
yeah, on a deeper level.
yeah,
Like,
exactly. So, like shared activities that both people enjoy, like going on a run or going to the beach or whatever, like that'd be something for us. But then if you are into like the nightlife and drinking and stuff like that, then finding people who, you know, want to
align
do
with
that, align with that, I guess that's kind of important because at least at this point in my life, like I'm not really like going out and partying a bunch and
right.
I don't have close friends who are always out and about necessarily unless they do both, you know, but yeah, I'm more um into all the health and wellness stuff at this point in my life and so most of my friends are too, I guess. Most of my close friends because we can share those activities together.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Something else I thought of right now was someone who isn't going to make you feel like too much. So like let's say you are going through a rough time, someone who's going to be there for you in the thick of it. Like
Yes, yeah,
that
that's
nothing is going to scare that person away, you know.
yeah, totally. That's so important. And that's the whole like genuine care for the other person
Yeah.
and really like seeing them through whatever challenge they're going through, like seeing beyond that.
Mhm.
Because I feel like it's so easy for superficial connections to fall apart when like there's no deeper thing that like pulls you in and that like makes you committed to the relationship through the ups and downs. But I feel like that's truly what makes it the more meaningful and deeper connection that you know is going to be there for a long time. You know, when you can move through these challenges together, it makes such a big difference on the when you come out on the other end of the
Mm,
challenge. You just
yeah.
feel so much more connected to the person, and then you can still like, you know, connect over all the other things, obviously, and all the joyful things and the fun stuff, but it just still makes a big difference in your experience of the relationship if you've lasted through these like more challenging times and trials
It
and
brings it
or it
close
could be there for each other through them, you
through hard
know.
times. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think it increases trust
Yes.
in when someone is there for you through really hard times.
Huge. Yeah. And I feel like when someone like I like this saying like you don't deserve me at my best if you can't be
Like
there for me at my
handle,
worst
yeah,
or handle
yeah.
me at my worst. And I just so resonate with that because your real people are going to be there for you through your highest highs and lowest lows.
Mhm.
And they are going to help you come move through the lows and grow through them and become a better person and then you know celebrate with you as you're at your highs and that's just I feel like when you can move through all of it together, it just speaks for the depth of connection and for the quality of the relationship.
I totally agree. Um, and with that note, I have a last, like, I guess this is like the question we can end on for the audience. Um, when you think about your friendships and your relationships with others, do you want to be more like that person in 5 years? And I thought of this because I think Jill said energy is contagious. And then I thought of this and I was like, this would be a great question to wrap up with. And so, you are your average 5 people. And that is my question for you guys. Reflect on it. Do you want to be more like this person in 5 years? If the answer is yes, great. If the answer is no, you got some reflecting to do. Maybe you have a conversation with this person because everyone can grow, but I feel like that's a great question to think about.
Yeah, that's a great question to ask yourself with all your relationships, I feel like. Yeah, absolutely. Especially the ones that you hold close, like your 5 closest people. Like, do you feel that way about them? Because you are going to become like them. So, it's a good question to ask yourself early, and ongoingly too, because we keep
Right.
growing and keep transforming and changing.
Mm.
And as long as you feel like you're moving in the right direction and the people that you're with are also on that trajectory,
Exactly.
it's good. Yeah. And if not, then you can adapt and adjust. And like you said, you can have conversations. It's not like you have to cut someone off just
Right.
because, like
Because
if
you don't.
someone is means a lot to you, then you can have those conversations and it might actually bring you closer together too.
I agree. But that is all I have. Do you have any other last minute things? No.
No, that was perfect. I loved all your little prompts. And
Thank you.
yeah, I think we're pretty smooth and we're about at the end.
But
So
okay, thank you for listening. Tune in next week, and I hope you guys have a wonderful, beautiful week ahead.
yeah, thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe and maybe add in your comment, whatever you want us to do next or discuss
Please
next.
do.
Bye.